Hello, so this is Rose Diamond from Tribe in Transition, and today I'm talking to my friend and colleague Kate Dow again. It's lovely to have you here again, Kate.
Thanks, Rose. Glad to be here.
And Kate is an empowerment coach, and she's author of a book called Fearless: The Art of Using Anxiety to Your Advantage. And Kate, the theme I'm exploring this month is the nature of our soul work. So what I'd really love to talk about with you is the work that you're doing now and how that's evolved for you over the years. Because I think when we look at the evolution of our work, we really see those themes that are playing out through our lives and how they're helping us to grow. So do you want to start with, what you're up to right now and where that's come from in your life?
Sure. I've been a psychologist for the last 30 years in some capacity, and in my private practice in the last 23 years. And, spirituality and soul work in essence has always been sort of my guide. And yet, I was trying to kind of always fit into a certain culture of mental health that was a little more available for a lot of people. And so I would say over time, I've been just unveiling more and more of my sort of spiritual side. And now I've made a leap from doing one-to-one practice to really wanting to explore being creative in many different ways. I'm doing some of my sacred feminine work, which is bringing in a lot of embodiment practice, tantra heart, practice to help women to start being more embodied and connected with their own energy and sexuality from a spiritual view, and how that serves us in our businesses to be able to be really our best self as well as our lives, right? Really being able to connect in with what our soul path is. And so I'm enjoying that. And then with the book, that's in process of getting published right now. So I am looking at creating courses, online courses that can provide support and sort of a platform for teaching, essentially, a lot of the different ways that I see how we step into our best self, we step into our power, especially as women, and how essential that is right now. And then I'm going to do live events, retreats and workshops, some online as well. So I'm really having fun with it because I am breaking out of the mold of just, mental health looking a certain way, and really not even calling it mental health anymore, but more, this whole person well-being work.
Yeah, that's quite a shift, isn't it? From seeing that the mental health work is more about seeing that something wrong. There's a pathology. There's something that has to be fixed in a way, and then making that shift into, well, actually, it's about blossoming into who we truly are and being creative. It's very liberating.
Well, yeah, and I've always held that for people. When people would come, I'd say, I don't really work with seeing you as a diagnosis, right? So I've always worked outside of that box, but now I get to really reveal it and create with it from a very different place.
Yeah.
Just
Great. So when you use the word reveal, I kind of imagine, there's sort of veils coming off, which is what the soul path is about, isn't it? There's we strip away all these veils of illusion and see and connect more with who we truly are. So
yeah.
I'm guessing that that's the work that you're doing with women, is helping them to really connect.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I mean, because, there's so many different experiences that I come from that I see where, my path of growth took me through very many different ways of learning. What does it feel like to feel disempowered? What does it feel like to feel disconnected? To feel really unable to connect with my value and my worth. Just numerous places that are very painful, that then I get to say, I see how that taught me that, and how I needed to learn and give myself permission to step into knowing and owning my own worth, right? My own value, my voice, all those things, you know,
Mm.
I have something to share about that.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think for all of us, that's the way it is. Is, you know, like that we work on those things that we need to develop in ourselves, and then, well, certainly has been true for me. And then it's like I'm learning, and then as soon as I've learned something, I want to pass it on to others. So that is this sort of evolutionary process as well. You know, really know it in the self first, and then I can know it in the other, and then I can develop the skills for that. And I mean, to me, that's been a sort of that journey of lifelong learning has been one of the most motivating factors of life.
Yeah, I mean, I've always seen it that way. You know, I've just always seen. I think of this my first boyfriend. I remember um, saying, you know, life is about learning, and he's like, no, it's not. It's just to have fun, Kate.
Mm.
And you know, that's I was a very serious kid, and now, you know, having gone through a lot of different challenges, I I see the beauty of loving life and appreciating it and enjoying it, because I can acknowledge the shadow, right? I can acknowledge that experience that we all come to and have in different forms. That is the challenge of being a human being, and the pain and suffering that comes with that. And then how do we come through that and reconnect, you know, like know that we're connected with our soul and we're on our path.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, it's walking. I, I had an amazing experience this morning. Actually, I just sat down and I realized it was the sort of you know, decades later, the anniversary of the time when I went off with my first boyfriend on an adventure walking along the coast of Wales, you know, where I'm actually going to be, where I'm moving to soon. And that led me into this. I sat for must have been over an hour just recording all the sort of high moments of my life, all those moments of kind of expanded of joy and expanded consciousness and connection. And um, you know, sometimes we tend to focus more on what isn't working, but you know, to actually focus on what has worked for me, you know, all the amazing experiences that I've had, you know, it just filled me up somehow. You know, it's like I felt like I was kind of overflowing with light at the end of that. But the same is true, you know, that we don't have the light without the shadow. So I think the soul journey, the soul work is about experiencing all sides of our humanity so that we fully know ourselves as human beings.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I think it's such a unique experience for each of us, and yet it's so similar across the path, right? Like the feelings and the challenges are so similar in some ways too. And um, what I love now is this idea of just holding space for women to come together and to grow and reconnect with themselves and see what helps them step into that authenticity and sense of full expression, right?
Yes, I liked what you said at the beginning about embodiment, you know, because I think for many of us, that's where it's what it's about now. You know, I know for myself, I've spent quite a lot of time in my head. You know, creativity has been quite a heady thing, but now I think for many of us, we're bringing all that creativity down into the body, to connecting more fully with the earth. You know, and actually really being here. I think, you know, is that you. Um, for many people, for many of us who have been traumatized in our lives, or you know, have had other difficult experiences, there's a tendency to want to not fully be here, to not fully want to be in the heart or to be in the body. And so this journey at the moment of just dropping down into the body is quite new, I think, for many of us. It's like, but it's kind of just, yeah, it's very simple. All I have to do is be here.
Well, and I think it's not so simple, because I think we, you know, as human beings, I feel like we're the most disconnected from our bodies, from nature, from the earth than, you know, at any time in history possibly. And So we're having to relearn it. We're having to re-experience that. And I see it, as women, if we can begin to do that, we really can hold that space for people to realize how important it is.
Mm. So when you talk about holding space, what does that mean for you exactly?
Well, so for example, I'm doing these gatherings here at my home, live experiences of guiding women through some embodiment practice and tantra practices, so that they can experience activating our life force energy and really realizing how powerful we are when we are more present in our body and in that energy context. Then we can focus it and really allow it to support us in whatever we are moving into and creating. So holding space even looks like this, right? It's just bringing awareness and connection that I'm really actually amazed at how we can do that online
Yeah.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yes. I mean, I'm very interested in this idea of holding space as well, and how we, because it's about being present in it. When we're fully present and intentional and listening and awake and aware, then we're holding space. And it doesn't matter whether it's with one person or with 100 people. That's that's part of what I'm doing in the soul sanctuary circles as well, is bringing people together, so that we actually together we create a bigger energy. And again, I think that's part of what's happening, at the sort of growing edge of consciousness, that we're coming together to create a bigger energy that moves us all forward.
Right.
But going back to your, talking about power, and I know for many women, really standing in our power, really embodying our power, there has been a lot of fear around that for many of us. And that ties in with I love the title of your book, Fearless. So fearless, and I think the soul work does require courage. That it is a constant process of moving through fear, really taking risks, moving through fear.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, we have to, when we want to make that shift, we get to really be responsible to where we're putting our energy, our attention, our heart, our body, like all of it, because then we can really move with more impact, I think. And part of the challenge is that we are coming out of this 3,000-year-old patriarchy that's really convinced sort of the feminine nature that it's unimportant and disposable, and we're having to reclaim that for ourselves, in ourselves, right? Even in our own experiences as women.
Yes, and that's so still alive now all over the planet, isn't it? That fear of women, repression of women. If you look at different cultures on the planet right now, it's amazing, really. I mean, even in the Western culture, that as I've looked back on sort of several decades of being involved and work with women, and in a way, how little things have changed, and yet in another way, I can see that there is evolution there. In some ways, that human beings, we seem to be quite slow to learn. It takes a long time for things to percolate through the whole being, from an idea to actually a knowing. Yeah.
It's so true. And yet it feels like we have this energy available, right? This consciousness that is available right now, possibly for a very different, time, that says, we could create change quickly, if we're really focused and ready for it, right?
Yes, absolutely. And I think the positive, the optimistic part of that is when I just look, listen, see, hear, know that there are so many of us, all over the planet who are waking up. So even though I might watch the news and see all the bad news, I just know that that we're all part of something much bigger than ourselves, and it is an evolutionary process, and it is moving, and we're each doing our little bit of our unique little piece of that. And that's what the soul work is, I think, when we really concentrate on our own little unique piece,
That's true.
It's
true. And inspire each other, right? I mean, that's what's so, it feels like that women are a little more open to connect now. Like just this morning I was going to this meetup that I started, and there was 2 new women there that had just moved to Santa Fe in like the last month, and were really open to connect and see what's going on. And it was just amazing to me, right? Just this quality of openness that's here now for women to see each other as support, versus what we've been taught, that we're, in competition, that there's a scarcity thing, or, comparing thing. And I find it really shifting around that. And it's super exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's that kind of recognition that when we really do what's ours to do, that it is unique. So you and I, we both lots of years of working with women, but we each bring our own unique gifts to that, our own unique perspective. So I kind of realized that as an author as well, that even if somebody else is writing a book on the same subjects as me, there is no competition, because they're going to be 2 completely different books. Whereas in the past I did used to feel oh gosh, I've got to hurry up and get this done because somebody else is going to do it. So and now I see somebody doing something similar, I thought, oh great, I can celebrate that. So it's that shift from sort of scarcity consciousness to abundant, prosperity consciousness, realizing that when we really sort of plugged into the interconnectedness of everything, that there is no scarcity. We live in a totally abundant universe. And that's what we're moving through us, isn't it? Yeah. So what excites you most at the moment, in your work?
Right now I think just that there is this spaciousness that is creative and flowing, and that there's the unknown is much more available, and instead of feeling fearful about it, I'm excited about it, because that unknown holds possibilities. And I'm really liking sort of being able to come at it from this feminine way, instead of my normal go-to, which it was very masculine for many years, taking charge and sort of forcing solutions and making things happen, which I was really good at, but it really harmed me in many ways. And now being able to just be patient and let things percolate and let things have their own timing, and really listen to my inner guidance and listen to the flow outside of me as well.
Yes, that's a beautiful place to be, isn't it? That being in the unknown, and being relaxed, knowing that that's actually it's a beautiful place to be. That's a spacious, where everything's new. And I think that's the thing that most excites me, is like, wherever I am on the journey, there's always something new unfolding. It's so it's about beginner's mind. It's about, it doesn't matter how old it's my hair's getting gray and all that sort of thing, but inside I'm always a beginner, and it's so exciting because as long as I approach everything with an attitude of curiosity and experimentation, and I get better at that as I go along, as you're saying, I become more confident about being in the unknown. I become more confident about saying I don't know. I trust more. I know my own strength and resilience. It doesn't mean to say there aren't challenges, but so yeah, it's always new. There's always more. There's always more to learn. There's always more to discover. There's always more to give. There's always more to receive.
Right. And just like having that space, instead of, I would just like fill my time, right? My work would be this way, and, blah, blah, blah. And just having more spaciousness for that unknown, and trusting what comes is sort of where I'm supposed to be.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm finding within that I'm actually becoming more efficient, whereas in the past, not too distant past, I would be kind of pushing to get things done. And now it's like I just get things done actually much more quickly. And then I've got the rest of the day to go and, lie in the sun or read a book, which is really nice, or go for a walk, or, it's kind of more time to just nurture myself, rather than always feeling like I've got to get somewhere.
Right. And I think that's the feminine way that we've been talking about, is it's the dichotomy that by not pushing, you're actually more efficient. By listening and flowing with the right time and the not right time is much more productive and connected.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I'd just like to add in something here about what I call divine timing. That in a way, we, I've always been, and you probably have too, someone who's been sort of somewhat kind of visionary and on the edge and a bit of certainly ahead of mainstream thinking, and that's been quite challenging at times. But there is also a sense in which we are part of a historical time, that we can't be too far ahead, and there's a right time for everything. And so it just feels like right now that it's much more of a kind of mass awakening that's happening, rather than in the past maybe I felt quite sort of separate and individual and isolated. Now it's like, I just definitely feel like this is happening on a big scale, because the time is right, and it's like the crises in our world are pushing us into this the flowering of the feminine consciousness. Hasn't been the right time for it before, but
Right.
it's the right time now. So it's kind of, and when it's the right time, it's effortless in a way. So I think that's what you're saying. It's like actually getting out of the way and just allowing it to happen.
Yeah. It's a very powerful shift, right? And I think that the fact that it's taking its time and it is in process is the perfect way that it needs to unfold, because otherwise we're trying to do it from a masculine way and make things happen, and
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. It's about living in the mystery, really, isn't it?
right.
Yeah. And so all the years, up until this, all the soul journey and the understanding and the study, has all been preparation, really, just for being here now in this place of open receptivity. It takes skill. You said earlier, it's not, it's simple, but it's not easy. It takes skill really to be in that simplicity.
Right.
So all the work that's been done before has kind of been readying us to be here.
Right.
To be
Love
fully
that.
connected. Sorry.
Yeah, I like to speak to that. Like, you claim that past that's prepared us for this.
Yeah, it's like the compost in the garden. Nothing's wasted. It's all just fertilizing the soil and getting the soil ready for the next beautiful flowering. And
Lovely.
I just had a sort of, as we were talking there, I just had a sudden slight kind of vision coming in of, what is the world going to be like when everybody's living from this place, this place of relaxation and not pushing and trusting. I mean, wow, what an amazing different world that's going to be.
Yeah. Hope we get there.
Well, yes. I think the more of us that, the more of us that get there individually, the more it spreads, So
Definitely.
we will, yeah, who knows, but we will get there. We will get wherever we're meant to be, I suppose.
Right.
We can't make anything happen, as you say.
Right. Mm.
So does that feel like a good place to to end. It feels like a kind of rounding.
It does feel that way. This was great. Thank you, Rose.
And thank you. It's lovely. It was always lovely to talk with you.
Too.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.